Welcome to Readings from the Animal Kingdom with Karima from Pet Care Magic. I'm an animal communicator, a Reiki master who specialises in animals, and an intuitive psychic. And I like to combine all of those modalities into channeling messages from the animal kingdom for myself and for others. We live within a community of not only people, but a community of many, many wild animals, as well as many domesticated animals. You might have dogs or cats or fish or birds or rats or mice or whatever in your home, tarantulas, if that's the sort of animal you love, in your home. But then there's also a huge number of animals outside of your home, from big to small, up in the sky, down in the earth, even under the earth, in the trees, right around us. And all of those animals at any particular point in time may or may not have a message for you. And I'm going to invite you through these readings done every week to listen to that message, take what resonates for you, and open up your way of thinking over the following week into how that message does or doesn't fit into your life. It's okay if it doesn't. It's okay if only some of it does. That is 100% up to you. The animal kingdom has no egos. They don't mind. They just hang around out there, and if they're given an opportunity to communicate a message, they will. Each week will have a particular theme to it, and I will then choose which of the numerous animal-themed decks I have to work out which deck I will be using for that reading. Oops, I went a little bit too fast. So I'm using the crystal deck as the overall tone of the reading. And of course, it's April the 1st here in Australia. It's 2 minutes off midday of April the 1st, although we're still in daylight saving, so it's not quite midday yet. April 1st, April Fool's Day. Do you sometimes feel like your entire life is like April Fool's Day? That's sort of the feeling I've had here today, or this weekend. We have obviously Good Friday, Saturday, Easter Sunday, and Easter Monday are our public holidays here, and the kids are also off school. But and I've had a wonderful 4 days of me and the dogs, not having to interact with people, not having to interact with anybody, clients, people. The area where I live is deathly quiet because there's none of the factories working. Beautiful. Look, honestly, I've never heard of this crystal before, but it seemed really appropriate because the minute I opened it, the minute I pulled it out, I wanted to go to the fridge and grab a piece of chocolate peanut fudge, which I've been snacking on all Easter, or some of the Easter eggs that are still in there. So it's a very appropriate crystal for this reading. It's comments of preservation, duality, psychic awareness. And so it wasn't saying anything to me other than reminding me about this chocolate in the fridge, fudge in the fridge. But it's very true. When I pulled this card, because we've gone now into another month, and it's our second month of autumn, I find when we move into a new month, or we move into a new season, that's when I personally find my psychic powers are often quite enhanced. Whether it's also because at the moment the weather's turned a bit benign and it's easier to sleep more, and also I've gone back on CBD, which means that I'm back into a period of very unusual dreams. It was a really weird one last night, but anyway, it involved Barack and Michelle Obama and their dog, but not their dog that they actually have. But anyway, long story. Which I'm sort of contemplating on what that all meant, and me working for some strange business that I don't know. It was all really weird. So this card says your powers of perception are strong at present, and you will experience a heightened awareness of others' thoughts and intuitively understand their motives and actions. And that's very much why people like me, people are highly empathetic and who do a lot of energy healing work. We often find that there are periods in time where we have to withdraw from life because it just becomes a little bit overwhelming, and we have to pull back within ourselves and basically recharge our own batteries and become very, very introverted and block off. That's why you'll find a lot of energy workers live in more rural areas, because they can they can get away from, get away from the noise around them and get away from the people around them. Not so much the noise and the people, but the energy that's around them, and recharge their own batteries. And they generally do that by grounding very much. Drawing this card, you're being encouraged to follow your feelings and instincts. And again, this is something we've been hearing quite repetitively on all our readings for 2024, and that's been about follow your instincts, be true to yourself. Don't worry about what other people might say. As psychics or as animal communicators, and even a lot of the energy workers, we get told, oh, that's nonsense, that's rubbish. You can't possibly be believing in any of that rubbish stuff. It doesn't work. It's BS, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they think. It's what you think that matters. Follow your feelings, follow your instincts, rely on your intuition rather than what others say. Follow your gut feelings, for in doing so, you will preserve the integrity of a project or situation which is dear to your heart. In this instance, you're being encouraged not to listen to the conflicting opinions of others, but listen instead to the guidance which stems from your own soul, and all will work out well. And it's very much, I think, listening to your instinct. Sometimes it's like your heart over your head. Our head lives very much in the sort of the I was going to say the real world, but it's not always the real world. But in the sort of common sense was a word I went to say, but it's not about having common sense or not. It's about the head is often very scientific and very, very prone to the emotions that are influenced by what other people around us think or say, and how we take that on, and we tend to overanalyze it. Whereas the gut is very much more about what feels right, what we know. It's, to me, the head is the head, but the gut is connected more towards the soul, to your core being, and but it's harder to listen to the gut, because sometimes the gut is like almost that angel on your shoulder that's saying, what's right here, whereas the head is sort of sometimes the bad angel on the shoulder saying, but conform. You can't be different. So it becomes a little bit harder. So that's the overriding tone of the reading. And as you can see, I'm still having trouble with these lights sort of shining off the cards. I think I may have to live with that. Because no matter what I do, I'm getting any light source I use shining off the shiny surface that's always on all these cards. So let's go and have a look and see what I pulled from the deck I'm using today. So I invite you now to take a look at this image and see whether A, B, C, or D is going to most resonate with you. It doesn't matter if they don't, because what I'm finding with these readings is that overall they're tending to add to each other, or they're tending to validate information or add on information that we've heard in the previous cards. That, along with the theme of the reading, is tending to make a readings that I'm saying to people probably are best thought about in totality rather than in any one particular card. However, if one particular card right now is screaming at you, me, then just jot that down for yourself and either go directly to that section and read that first and listen to that first, or pay more attention when we're at that particular spot. So the first card that came out was the dog. Very, very appropriate, because the dogs and I have literally spent these last 4 days just sitting within the moment. I mean, the dogs always do. That's what all animals do. Animals sit within the moment, and dogs are very, very good for doing that. It is what it is, right this moment. It's a dog. And they're very, very loyal. I mean, they don't care whether I work or whether I don't work, whether I'm within reason, whether I'm here or whether I'm not here, whether I'm present with them, whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad. They're very loyal. Dogs are capable of being with you no matter what being with you looks like. And unfortunately, that doesn't go in their favor, because at times I've seen dogs take an horrendous amount of abuse. And and still stay incredibly loyal, which is really sad, but they have. Um, and then every time I do have periods like this where I sort of withdraw, and just it's just me and the dogs. It's a chance to go internally to that instinctive feeling that I've got within me, and see how I feel about what's going on. And the dogs hold space for me when I'm doing that. The weather's been not so crash hot, so they haven't been quite so happy about not being able to be outside as much. But they don't care. Outside, watching TV, inside, 6 of one, half a dozen as far as the dog's concerned. They are man's best friend, and they are man's best friend for a reason. Yeah, cats can be a pretty good friend as well as many other types of animals, but there's something instinctively loyal about a dog. This is a very shaggy sort of wolfhoundy style dog, fairly big dog. I didn't draw anything from that terribly. What my dogs always tend to remind me about is the fact that you've got to stay grounded, and you do have to take time to stop occasionally and smell the roses. Take time to recharge. You watch dogs, particularly if you watch puppies, they'll go crazy and bolt around and bolt around and bolt around, and then crash and sleep this really deep sleep for ages. And this, of course, is Scott Alexander King's Wild Animal deck. The dog is an odd animal in a wild animal deck, but it has its roots obviously in wild animals. I have been doing a lot of reading lately about wolves, and about wolves who are living as domesticated animals and how they differ from dogs. Dogs understand without question that they personify love, the true essence of spirit. Without love, there's no sense of promise, no purchase, no light, no reason to look forward, no opportunity to embrace new beings. And you get a lot of people that are alone that say, well, I only get up and I only live because my dog or dogs need me. And you see a lot of dogs living with displaced people. And particularly you see a lot of divorcees or widowers who get a dog to sort of fill that space within their lives. And we don't, the book says it's not uncommon for people to question their love for their spouse or their child or their partner or their companion, but we tend never to question our love for our animals. And an image of a horse came to mind. Then horse people are incredibly bonded, usually incredibly bonded to their horses. They really do understand the love that it takes to be a horse owner or to live with a horse. Dogs believe the best way to show our feelings is to action them. When doubt is plaguing your mind, for example, reassuring words, even if said from the heart, may help to alleviate our fears. Actions filled by passion and commitment hold the power to put them to rest forever. Being told I love you, for example, is a beautiful thing, but nothing anchors the sentiment more profoundly than an act of love. And with a dog, acts of love are much simpler than acts of love between human to human. A pure act of love on a dog can be as simple as just sitting with them and patting them, massaging them, or even just feeding them. Whether that's an occasional, whether that's feeding them with treats when you happen to be interacting with them, or whether that's actually giving them their dinner. They live on a much simpler plane, and I think dogs teach us at times to live on that simpler plane, to live more within the moment. The book says if the hound has lurched joyfully into your cards today, and I don't think it's a hound, I think it's any dog. Dogs can be small, big, fluffy, not fluffy, ugly, cute, young, old. They can be all sorts of things. I don't believe it's just the hound that's here. He's used a hound. Personally, I'm not a hound person, but anyway. But they're encouraging to celebrate life and live your life to the fullest. Dogs embody the purest example of unconditional love, faith, and tolerance. To treat a dog with respect and commitment will see the animal We see the animal return its love, devotion, and loyalty tenfold. You're being asked to make it your mission to learn forgiveness, if not for someone else, and perhaps for yourself. It's time to learn tolerance and perhaps accept the imperfections you see in others, and to view these as mirrors of your own flaws. If dog has appeared in your cards, it's time to not only appreciate the loyalty you see in others, but to direct a little self-loyalty your own way. He uses the word a pack-orientated creature. I hate the word. Dogs are not packs. They're a group of animals living together. The dog teaches us to understand boundaries and order within our family and broader community, and dogs do that very well. So I've got a very old dog at the moment who's blind, getting very senile. Hearing isn't terribly good anymore, and he has a strong sense of boundary, particularly at night. Um, he'll find his spot to sleep, and does not like anybody else impinging on that spot. That's his spot. He's got a strong sense of boundary around himself, and he'll growl at the others, but not in a way like the others are funny, particularly the younger dogs. They'll come up and try and give him kisses, even though he's growling at them, because they know the growling is. They know that he's actually not going to do anything with the growling. The growling is not a precursor to fight. The growling is just his way of communicating his boundaries and his sense of what he wants at what time he wants it. Even though some people sometimes see growling in dogs as a negative thing and want to punish it out. Dogs appreciate it's often necessary to consider the needs of the rest of the group as a whole first, and never become so submissive to the wants and desires to others that we lose our own identity. So they're very good at having their own identity, but also acquiescing to the identity of the group that they live in. Dog is a powerful teacher and asks that you trust, love, and accept qualities that can only be found in others when you first realize them within yourself. That was the first card today. And the second card that came out today was the ostrich. The first thing that came to my mind when I saw this was, hang on, I've just got to save my mobile phone from one of the dogs who's decided to chew toy. Give it to me, please, mate. Hey, give it to me. No. Thank you. No. What are you doing? Brand new case. A couple of weeks old, he decided whenever I leave it out, it's going to be a good chew toy. But anyway, I do have to buy a new case. Sorry, ostrich. The first thing I saw when I pulled this card, or thought to myself when I pulled this card, was classic: bury your head in the sand. And that's very much what Easter has been for me: a bury your head in the sand, ignore the world. There's a bit of something dogs are playing with. Ignore the world. Bury your head in the sand, ignore the world, pretend the world doesn't exist. Ostriches are good for that. Run away. I think that's what a lot of people tend to do at Easter. Here in Easter, we have it in Australia. We have Easter tied into a school holiday period as well. It's our first school holiday period after the big Christmas break, and they've gone back, which seems like only 5 seconds ago. But they it's like it's the runaway, it's the reground, it's get back to nature, get back to earth. Forget about some stuff that might be worrying you or pulling you down. And that's not saying don't go back to it, never go back to it. That's saying that sometimes a break from what your worries are is sometimes worth doing, and that you actually are more successful by walking away from what your issues might be. And just like having a break, literally having a break from them, literally not not fixating on them for a while and just letting it all resonate within the deeper levels of your being. The flightless ostrich is the largest living bird on Earth. Ostriches usually choose to live alone, but will occasionally travel in loose flocks. Living for 40 years or more, they're gifted with powerful vision and agility. They don't have teeth. They swallow pebbles that grind their food in their gizzard and carry as much as 1 kilogram or 2.2 pounds of stones in their stomach. They can reach speeds of up to 30 miles, just over 48 kilometers per hour. Contrary to belief, they do not bury their head in the sand. Yeah, I knew that. It's just a common sort of thing that gets said when you see an ostrich. If an ostrich has come into your cards today, you're being encouraged to ground your energy. They get where they need to go by being strongly grounded. Think about the huge, big ostrich feet that really ground their biggish body to the earth and allow them to reach such speed. And nurture yourself instead of drifting aimlessly through life. It's an animal that only accepts black and white answers. It's not one to compromise or to recognize shades of grey. When asked a question, it only accepts a straight yes or no response. And I know that sort of factors into our reading today. The impression I'm getting is not about trying to seek answers right at this moment in time. The answer is about just grounding yourself and moving away from what it is you're trying to get answers to, because they will come. The old saying, if you love something, set it free. I can sort of draw a similar analogy from me. If you can't find the answers to what your problems are, then stop thinking about them. I'm a good advocate for, if I can't work out what's going on here, I will often walk away from the problem. It doesn't mean I've permanently walked away from it. It means I've put distance between myself and the problem. Sometimes it's physical distance, sometimes it's emotional distance, sometimes it's mental distance. And that in doing, I come back with a clearer mind. I come back with, often I'll find the solution. Once I've made that distance, I've allowed myself to find the solution. That being able to make distance from it gives you clarity on whatever the problem is. If ostriches appear today, you're being asked to stand firmly by your convictions and never consider retreat unless hopelessly backed up against the wall. The ostrich abhors cowardless and gutless behaviour. They are fierce creatures. Out on the farm when I first moved out there, the people living on the farm next to me, there was a phase in the sort of 90s here in Australia to do ostrich farming, and he had 4 or 5 ostriches still out there when I moved out, and eventually they got down to only one as they sort of died out because he stopped breeding. They are fierce. They can be absolutely fierce. I have a pump down on the farm has a pump down on their land, and occasionally I would have to go down to the pump. And I would usually do it on the ride-on mower. And that particular, remember, by the stage I only had 1 ostrich left, and that ostrich, I swear to God, fell in love with the ride-on mower because it absolutely loved it. It would see me coming and come running up really fast to the ride-on mower, and then just like follow me around. And while I parked the ride-on, while I was doing whatever I needed to do on the pump, it would rub itself up against the ride-on. But if the dogs happened to get that stage, I owned and was breeding Belgian Shepherds. Quite a big fast dog. Belgians are really fast dogs, and like if one got out and got through onto that property, I knew who would come off worse, and it was the dog. Would have been the dogs, not the ostrich. Luckily, the dogs were sensible enough. They go chasing this ostrich, and the ostrich is smart enough. They're super fast. This still is. It's a property of about 400 acres. The ostrich would go belting away, and the dogs would belt 1 or 2 dogs would belt after it, and then the ostrich would run enough that the dogs would get winded or take the sort of edge out of their chase. And the next thing you know, I'd see a dog come belting back over the hill, being chased by the ostrich. The ostrich was like, well, guess what? You need to now be faster than me because I've run you until you're not quite as fit as you thought you were, and now I'm coming back at you. It became after a while, not that I let the dogs out if I could avoid it, because sooner or later, if one of those ostriches had had caught them, they would have killed them. So that they're really the only time I ever saw an ostrich run was a deliberate runaway, chase me until you're winded sort of effect. Otherwise, if you'd have got yourself in a situation with I know myself, if I'd have got myself in a situation with an ostrich where it was cornered with the ostrich between me and getting out, then I was in trouble. Their claws are super 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 sharp, and they are very very good at lifting lifting 1 foot or 2 feet and actually just really literally ripping you apart. Asking you to stand firmly by convictions, never consider retreat unless hopelessly backed up against the wall. To be held accountable for the effect you have on others is the keynote message of the ostrich, and it's about self-respect. They are very very proud creatures. They're not the world's most attractive creatures, and honestly, when you're eyeball to eyeball with an ostrich, it's an interesting issue. It's very interesting. So they say to you, honor yourself and honor what's right for you. By living life in a responsible manner, you soon find yourself attracting people of similar vibration, being encouraged to take a practical stance to ground your otherwise flighty attitude and behavior and take responsibility for all areas of your life. Don't deny anyone or anything, especially when you know you're accountable, and always walk your talk. And then the third card today is the whale. Should be here in a minute. Yeah, the whale. And the whale, it's in a different environment, of course. The whale being in in water, not on the earth or in the air. So the ostrich is very much an air species. Dog is very much an earth, and the whale is very much a water species. The whales again are quite solitary, and whales are also quite good at introspection. To whenever a whale comes out in these cards that I'm reading, it tends to feel to me like it's a very introspective reading, a reading that's saying look inwards, and a reading that's also saying be confident in yourself. Like it's a huge creature, and it is very very confident in itself. And I think the whale species is the holder of a lot of collective wisdom. It says whale stores the Mother Earth's sacred records and pays witness to the proceedings that collectively authenticate the spiritual makeup of the planet by holding the memories of each and every event that has ever contributed to her shaping. She channels this information to our subconscious mind through our dreams, visions, and ponderings. And this sort of takes me back to the sort of dreams that I had last night and that I've been having for the last few nights. Very, very, very vivid dreams and very extensive dreams. May we remember our spiritual history and the sacred places that have shaped our personal journey. And that again comes to the reading of what is the Easter weekend about for a lot of people who choose to get away from it all, to as the crystal said at the very beginning, get away from it all and ponder our spirituality, ponder our psychicness. And I don't believe you have to be psychic to be spiritual. It's about your spirituality rather than your psychic ability, because the two have quite a strong overlap, in my opinion. It's believed those who work with whale hold within their DNA the ability to hear the secret language encoded in the order of rhythms and vibrations generated by the Earth Mother. The whale's song offers us a chance to reconnect with the heartbeat and the ground signature of Mother Earth. Even though they're not an earth creature, they're a water creature. The water is the conduit for the sounds and signatures of Mother Earth. The more we judge and repress others, lie, manipulate, cheat, and steal, the more we rape the planet and take that which is not rightfully ours. And to me, the fact that whales are becoming more prolific again is fantastic. I think, despite some of the things I see to the contrary, I think we are treating Mother Earth now, or we've got awareness of treating Mother Earth now a lot better than it ever used to be, decades ago. Could be this, the whale has sung its way into your cards today. You're being asked to embrace how sensitive you are to your environment and realize how your strong psychic connection to the Earth Mother may affect your life. So we're back to grounding yourself, getting back in touch with the Earth. Whale realizes that you need stable surroundings and reliable relationship to maintain an overall sense of well-being. Without these things, you tend to experience mood swings and emotional periods. If you find yourself feeling aggressive just before an electrical storm, depressed after extended periods of rain, and overly energetic during sunny weather, then Whale is correct in her assessment of you and your relationship to Mother Earth. She has affirmed your sensitivity to the vibrations or ground signatures emitted by Mother Earth. The more you learn to surrender to the ebb and flow that is Earth Mother's way, you will find yourself not only falling gently in line with her rhythm, but more passionately into your own inner rhythms, and in time, those of you who share your world. So it's about opening up to awareness of self, and all of these creatures, all of these cards are basically, along with the crystal card, that's basically what they've said to us in this reading today. So that's probably all I can give to you today. I invite you to contemplate this and look at these cards and say, well, what is that card telling me? Because this is me telling you what the card's telling me, but you're the one who knows what any one of these cards or what this entire reading is going to be telling you. And that's more important than absolutely anything I can say. So with that, enjoy what is left of your Easter. For those of us here in Australia, it's not much. For those of you overseas, you've still got a little bit of time left. And have a great week. If you do want a fuller reading, then I do those obviously online, so you can be anywhere in the world. Just go to petcaremagic.com and you will find the link to book a time to have a fuller animal reading. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification buttons if you want to be notified when I do more of these each week.